volume of a frustum. We were given this frustum with the larger radius as 35 centimeters, that is capital R, then the smaller radius as 28 centimeters, that is small r, then this was given as 8. Now to visualize this very well, we shall use a cone. A frustum is normally got by cutting a cone. For instance, we can consider this. You notice that when cutting this, we generate this frustum. Now for us to get the volume of this frustum, we need to get back the initial figure of the cone. So this is how this shall be. Then this height here, we shall call it small h. Now notice that we have two frustums, that is the bigger frustum and this smaller frustum. So to get the volume of this frustum, it shall be the volume of the larger cone minus the volume of the smaller cone. That is a third pi capital R squared capital H minus a third pi small r squared small h. Now we need to solve for the value of capital H and small h first. For us to do that, we are going to apply the linear scale factor, that is between the heights and the radiuses. So we shall say small h over capital H should be equal to small r over capital R. Now our small h is just small h. Then for our capital H, this is the capital H, and we get it by basically adding this h and this 8. So capital H shall be equal to small h plus 8. So we replace it and we have h plus 8. Then for small r, it is this 28. Then capital R is the largest radius, which is 35. So we shall do cross multiplication for us to solve for the value of h, and we shall have this as h multiplied by 35 is equal to 28 in bracket h plus 8. H by 35, that gives us 35h. Then when we distribute 28 to the bracket, we shall have 28 by h plus 28 by 8. 28 by h, that is 28h, then 28 by 8, that is 224. We collect the like terms by taking 28h to the left, and 35 minus 28, that gives us 7h. To get the value of h, we divide both sides by 7, and these two will disappear, and we shall have h being equal to 224 over 7, which is 32. Now hence our small h is 32. Then what about capital H? Remember we said capital H is small h plus 8. But small h we have it as 32. So capital H shall be 32 plus 8, and that gives us a total of 40. So we have our capital H as small h. So we can plug this in the formula. So we shall have this as a third by pi by 35 squared by 40. Remember our pi is 22 over 7. Then minus a third by pi by 28 squared by 32. Now when we do this, a third by pi by 35 squared by 40, that gives us 51,333.68. Then for a third by pi by 28 squared by 32, our calculator gives us 26,282.67. Subtracting the two, we get the volume of this frustum as 25,050.66 cubic centimeters. And this is basically how we can get the volume of a frustum. Hopefully you've understood the concept, and if so, then go ahead and like this video, comment, share, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching this video.